and good morning to another edition of the Friday Morning Commute with your host, Rovan Doug. I hope your Friday is going extraordinarily well so far. Mine has been rather dull. Not really. So, let's go ahead and get started with all of these wonderful Friday festivities. First up, Xur, because everyone needs their serving of Xurios. So we have, for the Titans, the crest of Alpha Lupi. Now remember, this is the fast revive chest piece. There's a hunter version by the same name, and then the warlocks have the light beyond nemesis to speed in quick revives. Remember, since the April update, quick revive is, you cannot run and revive someone even with quick revive. So keep that in mind as we go into the Trials of Osiris this weekend, as well as any other, PvP elimination type event that we will have later on. Next up, we have the Young Ahamkara's Spine for hunters, and then for warlocks, we have the Heart of Praxic Fire, which, if I remember correctly, is a year 1 brought to year 2 with the April update, and it gives you double fusion grenades. I might be wrong. I might be right. There's a likelihood of both. So, hope you enjoy that. Pieces of armor. We also do have the Xur regime auto rifle, low rate of fire, higher impact. You can almost feather it like a sniper or like a scout rifle now. So it's a very, very effective PvP gun. Auto rifles are actually coming back to being one of the more powerful and predominant guns, especially if it's got low rate of fire, high impact, as well as some knockback and stun damage. So feel free to pick one up. And if you're missing the year 1 version of the Xur regime, you're in luck. Today, and this day only, not really, could happen any Friday, but Xur has with us today the Legacy primary weapon exotic engram. So this will allow you to pick up year 1 exotics that you currently don't own. So there is a likelihood that there could be some player who picks up both the year 2 Xur regime and decrypts a year 1 Xur regime in the same day. So hope you guys have a wonderful Friday with Xur. I would say his offerings are actually not too bad given how much I play Destiny. That could be wrong. And depends on your situation. Now, moving forward, it's time for a sip of water. We'll go ahead and talk all the fun stuff today. So, we had, what did we have? We just got done with Iron Banner. The loot was dropping like candy. Oh my goodness. It was a sight to behold. I'm sad I didn't get to play Iron Banner any. I usually never do. And it just always comes down to a matter of, do I want a healthy relationship with my family, with my wife and my daughters, or do I want to binge on video games? And while I would love both in a perfect world, in this imperfect world, I can't have both, so I choose my family over video games. 9 times out of 10. I am a terrible guy every once in a while, but I try to limit it as much as I can. Now, this week we had the bug fixes from the April update go live. So we had things change such as melee calculations. So where Blade Dancer would try to slice you in half, hit, and still not do any damage. That should have been fixed. I haven't seen or heard too many people complaining about it or mentioning and bringing it up. So it's either one of those things that was fixed, people kind of forgot about it, but aren't getting salty because their hits are actually landing, or they're just still salty about it. I don't know which. Now, we also do have the Hunter, or the Titans shoulder charge doing the same thing, so that should have been fixed. Now, I do know that at some point within the next week, they will be rolling out these changes, or more changes, that they were to switch on manually. So, if you go back to, I want to say last or 2 weeks, this week at Bungie post, they mentioned some more sandbox changes that they were going to be tweaking if needed, because the thing with changing the melee connecting algorithm is it's going to make the meta shift ever so slightly. Could be a good shift, could be a bad shift. We don't know yet. And Bungie doesn't know. They're going to watch the data, they're going to try to figure it out, and tweak as needed. So hopefully, this just brings these two classes, this class, I should say, and this subclass, maybe it's subclasses. I don't know if Shoulder Charge is a subtree perk, subclass perk, or not. So I need to find that out. But so it should fix these, make them more enjoyable classes to play, and not really affect the balance of the game as a whole. If that's the case, everything's fine and dandy. We're good to go. Everybody get your machacos out. Enjoy a taco party. Now, we did have a wonderful Cinco de Mayo. I went lurking in a couple channels. It was a lot of fun. I got to listen to a predominantly mixed stream. So one of my friends, and give a shout out to Cole Chaos with K's, so KOLKHAOS. Check him out on Twitch. Tons of fun, great guy, but he knows Spanish as a second language, so he had a mixed language stream with a couple other either predominantly Spanish speaking, or also was a Spanish and English speaking streamer. And it was a lot of fun. Had a blast. I enjoyed it. Everyone else enjoyed it. They mentioned pizza, made us all crave pizza. It was a good time. So, this week has had its fair share of excitements, which I'm excited. On a personal note, I just wanted to keep you guys updated with what's going on in my life. We saw my wife's neurologist on Monday, and he said, okay, so you're hitting the therapeutic level of your meds. There's really not much he can do until after our baby is born. So wants to see us back in 5 weeks, or 5 months, sorry. 5 weeks. Woo! So 5 months, somewhere in November, we're going to hope and pray everything goes well with the pregnancy. We did have an interesting weekend last weekend. I had to take Kay up to the hospital twice for contractions. Turns out that even though these were contractions, they were not preterm labor contractions, which is a blessing, but it was in fact a UTI, or urinary tract infection, and we had this issue with our youngest daughter, and they didn't. So what happened is last Thursday, a week ago from Thursday, we had doctor appointment. Go see the doctor. He says everything's looking good, baby's looking fine. They do a urine test at the clinic, because that's what they always do. Well, Friday rolls around. My wife's having contraction pains. We go up to the hospital, get checked out. They don't do a urine analysis, so they don't do a urine test. Then they give her a shot. We go home. They kind of stop the contractions, but not really. I mean, enough, but not what they needed to have been at, in my mind. So we go home, have a fairly decent day Saturday. She's still in some pain, but it's not as much. She's able to, exist with it just fine. Sunday rolls around, and she's in intense pain. So we go back up to the hospital, and this time they do a urine test, and they actually test the urine, and they come back and say, yeah, it looks like you've got a urinary tract infection. Here's a prescription for antibiotics. And my wife and I are just like, you could. Why? Why did you not do this Friday? You would have saved us a whole heap of hassle this weekend. Why did you not do it Friday? But unfortunately, they thought, or I guess they have not seen an infection come on essentially overnight, even though my wife has a occurrence of it in the past. So, with that being said, everything currently looks good with the baby, and with my wife. We have a sonogram coming up on the 12th, so in less than a week, and we get to find out the gender. So, if you're watching this on YouTube later, feel free to put your vote of if it'll be a boy or a girl down below. I don't think I'll do anything special, but it's interesting to see what the community as a whole thinks the gender of the baby will be. So, as always, it's a pleasure just sitting here driving with y'all. I forgot a couple of my weekly events, my weekly rituals, I should say. So, because of work and everything else, I missed out on Bowtie Tuesday, which makes me really sad. Very, very sad, actually. And then I also missed my... You're that young. I was trying to keep him back. Missed my Arms Day video, or Periscope, on Wednesday. And even though I would have loved to tell you about what these weapons were this week, I had a rough night, and I was on autopilot that morning. And to be honest, I was on autopilot both mornings. 2 nights of really bad sleep. So, next week, I'll aim to do better. I'll have those videos, or at least that picture and that Periscope up, hopefully at the same time. We're changing my work schedule just a little bit. Used to be, I would either drop my girls off or go up to work, stand around for a morning meeting between all the developers, and then go home. And either take care of everyone or just take care of my wife. Now I'm doing kind of a half-day split, so I take my daughters over to my parents, half day in the office, pick up my kiddos, bring them home, put them down for a nap, and then it allows us more time with them as a family, and gives me some time in the office, which is currently, I would say, a win-win all around. We'll see how well this continues. My hope is that once my wife has the baby, everything will calm down. Now, the neurologist did say that there's a chance or there's a higher likelihood that my wife has a medical condition called dystonia. Now, if you don't know what dystonia is, it's a condition of neurological, where your body, your mind, I'm going to explain this terribly, but you essentially stop being able, your brain stops correctly controlling some of your motor nerves, and so your body will start contorting itself, jumping forward, very painful. It's just no fun. I mean, there's medications to help the symptoms, but there's no cure. There's no way to maintain it. Once the medications stop working, you go to Botox injections to help calm the nerves. Once Botox stop working, you go to deep brain stimulation, which is essentially they drill a hole in your head and insert a probe into the motor center of your brain and send electrical pulses to it in order to keep your brain regulating itself correctly. That's not a cure. That's a last-ditch effort to keep you out of serious pain. So there's a high likelihood that my wife has this condition with the symptoms and the fact that this has occurred more than once. So, we'll see how things go. I'm just taking it one day at a time. That's all I can do. As always, let's recap Xur before I head into the office. This week we have the crest of Alpha Lupi for Titans. We have the young Ahamkara Spine for Hunters. We've got the Heart of Praxic Fire for Warlocks. Xur Regime Auto Rifle for everyone. And then if you're needing a Year 1 Xur Regime, we have a Legacy Exotic Primary Weapon Engram available for everyone to buy. Remember, Legacy Engrams are weighted towards Year 1s, specifically this one being an exotic, to let you get Year 1 exotics that you may have missed. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks again for stopping by. Again, my name is Rovin Doug. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Periscope, all under the same username of Rovin Doug. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you Starside Guardians. Bye.